Today, we have Mr. Mike Gatorno with Medico. Mike is our Medico rep. Him and Melissa, great people, good friends with Medico. So we're super excited. Medico has a brand new hospital indemnity product. They've made a ton of changes to it. It came out June 1st, June 1st of 2022. So this is our first look at it. I've heard a few things, a few really exciting features that it's got, and Mike's going to cover all those for us. But it's going to be a really great product. You really want to look at it and check it out. So I think they've even got some trips and some other cool stuff Mike's going to talk about. So, really excited to hear what Mike's got to say. Give it up for my good buddy, Mike. Thanks, buddy.
Well, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. And to everyone at Secure Insurance Group, I appreciate having me out and getting the word out about our new hospital indemnity product that we rolled out, as Matt said, June 1st. We're going to talk a little bit about cross-selling first. I know cross-selling can be very daunting to a lot of agents, but I think it's very important for agents to let their clients know what's available to them. So we'll just, without further ado, we'll just go and jump in. And I'll just say, one thing I always advise agents is cross-selling is really like a batting average. And what I mean by that is, I'm not a huge sports fan when it comes to baseball, but I understand what a batting average is. And that's basically, 300 is a high batting average, which means that's 0.300 or 30%, which means 30% of the time that professional baseball player at bat gets a hit or the base. Now, to offset that, that means 70% of the time they don't. They're hitting it and it's being caught out, they're being struck out, thrown out at first, whatever happens. But that 30% of success of getting the base offsets the 70% they don't. And it's just like that when you offer a product like hospital indemnity. More people than not will probably say no to the product, but that's okay because the people that say yes to the product will offset the ones that don't. So you want to make sure that, you are giving the opportunity to clients to let them know it's available. And if they say no, that's okay, because the one that says yes will greatly make up for it and greatly increase your profitability and the valuation of your book of business. On top of it all, giving your clients extra coverage that maybe they didn't know was available to them. Because let's face it, you have a responsibility to educate your clients about their options. There's nothing worse than having a client get coverage that you have available in your portfolio through somebody else. Now you've got another agent in your book of business offering the same product lines you do, and your client's not going to cancel and just go with you. No, now you have to compete with another agent. What we call it is leaving the back door of your book of business open. So if you're not at least educating your clients about other options, you could be literally exposing your book of business to the competition for them to have their go at it. So, and it doesn't have to be any high pressure sales. We are greatly against high pressure sales. I think anyone on this call is. That's why you're here, to learn and to better your practices and increase your profitability of book of business. So you don't have to be high pressure with it. You could simply say, and this is what I used in the field, and if it works for you, great, or some variation of, is, look, Mr. and Miss Client, you have other options available to you. I'm gonna run down them real quick. If any stand out or you want more information on, let me know. And of course, down the road, if you want information, I'm available as well. And you just rattle them off. That's a nice, simple way of saying, hey, you know what? There are other things you have available, and it's my responsibility to make sure they exist. Because there are gaps in Medicare, but there are also gaps in their MA coverage. And that's what I've told my clients all the time, is that the three biggest weak spots in many MA plans are going to be inpatient hospitalization, skilled nursing, and cancer. Now, inpatient hospitalization, we obviously have a hospital indemnity plan, which we're going to review to show you how to offset that. Skilled nursing, if your clients never had a skilled nursing episode, they're probably not going to be a big factor for them. And plus, there's not a lot we could do because that's all based on networks. But then cancer is a huge loophole in MA plans, because what happens? They get chemotherapy and now they have an 80-20 split. And the objection I get from agents all the time is, well, what about the max out of pocket? Well, the max out of pocket's great if you are diagnosed in January and you have the entire year to reach that max out of pocket and let it ride. But what happens if your clients are diagnosed in October or November and they start flirting with that max out of pocket? What happens January 1st? It resets. So that 3,000 max out of pocket is now a 6,000 max out of pocket, because January 1st, it doesn't matter what claims they paid last year for the same illness. it's a hard reset. So you want to make sure your clients are aware that when tragedy strikes in their health insurance or their own health, that they have the tools and resources available to them that they can offset some of these costs. As I tell my clients, you want to focus on recovery and not repayment. There's no sense in adding a financial burden on top of a health episode. So these are the things you need to educate your clients on, because there's nothing worse than having clients saying, if I knew that was there, I would have bought it. And now you're the bad guy, as opposed to you presented it, they said no. And now they're like, oh, I should have taken that. My insurance agent told me about it and I didn't accept it. So now it's my fault. So make sure you're always on the positive side of that table. But let's get into hostile indemnity. This is how I sold hostile indemnity in the field. Again, hopefully you get some good nuggets out of this, because we want to make sure that your clients know that hostile indemnity exists. Because let's face it, I've never had anyone come to me and say, hey, Mike, do you sell hostile indemnity plans? Said no client ever. They don't even know what indemnity means. So it's your responsibility to let them know it exists. And at Medico, now I can tell you for most other hostile indemnity carriers, we don't advertise. Our distribution channel and our communication channel to the public is through the agents. We don't run commercials. We don't do mailers. We have a website that no one ever goes to except insurance agents, because we don't promote it, because our distribution channel and our sales channel is straight through the agents. And we want to keep it that way. That way they're not calling us and we're having to, sell them a plan through us, which we don't do. We want to make sure they're buying it through you and you're increasing your book of business. So first and foremost, it's on the scope. And if you're like, yep, the scope's still there, it is. And based on the amount of Medicare complaints we've had the past couple of years with call centers and all these commercials that drive us nuts, the scope of appointments here to stay at least for a long while. That was definitely on track to maybe be omitted and off the books by hopefully next year, the year after. But that's pretty much, from my understanding, been a hard reset. So the scope's here to stay, and your clients are good initial dental, vision, hearing products, and hostile indemnity products. So CMS is giving you permission to talk about it. Take full advantage of that. And your clients are signing saying, I want to learn about it. Even though you have no idea what it is, again, it's your responsibility to share that. So some simple verbiage I used when I was running through the summary of benefits was this. Your hostile copayment is whatever it is, $300 a day, days 1 through 5. Now we have a hostile benefit that can offset some or even eliminate it. I'll cover this at the end, okay? And I've never had anyone say, no, please don't tell me how to eliminate this copay. I would love to pay it in full. That never happens. So right now you're just planting that seed saying, hey, there's a big hostile copay, but there's a way to offset that. And I'm going to show you that here shortly. So it's a nice, subtle, just a little planting that seed again, letting them know that something's happening, and very, very low pressure. So when you get to the end of the summary of benefits, I would do a 3-option close. And that would be option 1. You have, this plan we went through with full co-payments, and that's going to cost you $0 per month. Now you do have the option of adding the hostile benefit that I mentioned, and that $300 per day hospitalization, you're going to get a check to offset that. So again, you could focus on recovery and not repayment. And that's only be, whatever it is, $35 a month. And then we could actually add a cancer benefit to that as well. So if you are diagnosed with cancer and you are exposed to the 80-20 cost share, you'll have a bucket of money to pay that 20% out of, or for any other treatments or travel if you want to get treatments elsewhere. And that's running about $60 a month for everything. What sounds good to you? 1, 2, or 3. Nice and simple. It's not, no one's ever said, how dare you try and sell me other things that may benefit my health insurance? Because if they don't want it, they'll pick option 1. But statistically, most people will go with option 2. Just like when you ever go to your website, you have good, better, best. This is definitely your better option. Most people don't want the base. They don't want the premium. They want middle of the road. And this is a great way to offer hostile indemnity to them. Now, notice I said hostile benefit, not hostile indemnity, because you say indemnity, and again, they're not going to know what that means, but everyone knows what a benefit is. So again, this is just a nice, simple way to maybe give you some ideas to offer hostile indemnity, whether you use this or come up with your own system. But it's important that your clients know that it exists, because you're the one we're counting on to let them know that it happens. And then, of course, and if you add a new product to your portfolio, it doesn't matter what's in your portfolio. It matters what's presented to your clients and prospects. So, no, you can send a letter, you can call, add to your newsletter. I know Matt has a guide after we're done. They're going to email out, and there are actually some form letters that you could personalize through Canva, which is an online tool that no affiliation with Medico. It's just a simple online graphic design tool that you need no graphic design experience to use, because I use it and I have no experience with graphic design. But there are some generic letters in there that you could use and personalize and modify to suit yours. And again, this is great for lock-in prospecting because, right now, if you come across someone with a Medicare Advantage plan, we can't change them unless they have a special enrollment period. But you can ask them about that extra hospital benefit if they purchase that along with their policy. And more times than not, they're going to say no. And it opens the door for at least you educate them that that other benefit exists. Even if they don't take it, now they know that, hey, it exists. And, my last agent didn't tell me about that. So now I know you're on my side, the proverbial same side of the table. You're telling me all my options, not just what you want to sell me. So let's jump into Medico. Here is our states. The dark blue states are our new enhanced hospital indemnity product as of June 1st. So as of a couple of weeks ago. The light blue states still have our old product because they haven't been approved for the DOI. And then obviously grayed out means it's not available. The great thing about our new hospital indemnity is that it's guaranteed issue ages 64 to 67 at time of application. So if you have someone that's 67 years old right now and they want a hospital indemnity plan, no health questions. They are in like Flynn. No problem. And that includes all the optional riders. So if they want the ambulance rider or the cancer rider, which we'll cover here in a moment, all that's included. In fact, when you go through our new portal for enrollment, if they are flagged between 64 and 67, the health questions are 100% omitted. So you don't even have to know them because they're taken off the application because all our applications are electronic. So what does it look like? Glad you asked. All right, we have our base plan, and our base plan is going to be everything you see on the screen. It comes with 5 benefits. It comes with the hospital confinement benefit, which is days 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 21, or 31, from $100 to $600 per day in $25 increments. Now, side note, one thing I always did for my clients, I padded that benefit a little bit. So in the example I gave before, $300 per day, I would make my clients benefit $325 because next year, what's their inpatient hospitalization going to be? We don't know. So I'd rather give them a little bit of cushion in case it does go up. And that way they have a little excess in case they have extra drugs they're taking or extra doctor visits. They have that little extra cushion of benefit coming to them. Or maybe they just want to go out to eat. It's their money. They can spend it how they want. But I always pad it just a little bit, just a little tip to give you. I'm not trying to drive up costs. I'm just trying to give my clients a little extra protection. Next is the observation benefit. And that pays 100% of the hospital confinement benefit with no minimum in the hospital. So if they're under observation, they go to the hospital, they're admitted, and they're under observation for 6 hours and discharged, they'll get that full benefit, whatever that is, up to 6 calendar days per year. So there's no minimum, which is nice because most of the time, let's face it, our clients have no idea if they're observation or inpatient. And, it's a big misunderstanding for a lot of people. Most people don't have the whereabouts to ask because we're in the hospital. We're not focused on the bill yet. We're focused on getting better and getting out. Not, hey, am I observation or inpatient? Said most people don't ask, but we want to make sure they're covered regardless. So we provide that. The ER room benefit, $150 per day, as long as they go to the hospital. And it used to be a 24-hour, they had to be admitted to the hospital. That's one of the advantages or one of the endorsements we did as of June 1st. That's no longer an issue. So to go to the ER room, they get $150 up to 4 calendar days per year. One unique benefit we have is transportation and lodging. Pays $100 per day, up to 10 days per year if they have to go more than 50 miles for treatment. So it's if they have a loved one that has to travel and maybe stay at a hotel or have extra expenses for travel, they're going to get a check up to $1,000 for up to 10 days while traveling. And the last one's inpatient mental health, which I'll tell you, we at Medico have seen a huge uptick in utilization. and it pays $175 per day confinement up to 7 days per year. So don't just fly over that benefit like I used to do, because most people, inpatient mental health was, I'm not mental, I'm not going to use that. Well, we've seen with COVID, a lot of people have taken a lot more advantage of the mental health benefits from being isolated from the public. Well, now, of course, it's getting better. People are out and about more. Life's returning to quote normal, unquote, but there's still a lot of people taking advantage of that mental health benefit. So all the things you see in there is what comes with a base plan. Issue ages, as you can see, are ages 18 to 85 in most states. Some states only go to 80, but I think Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, goes all the way to 85. Then there's a 7% household discount as long as they live with another legal adult, meaning 18 years or older. They don't have to be married. They don't have to be in a relationship. As I joke, that they don't have to be in love. They just have to lodge together. So if it's a grandchild, or if it's a spouse, or if it's someone that claims to be their spouse, they're going to get 7% off their premium for living with somebody at the same residence that's above the age of 18. Now, there are optional riders they can add to this plan. There's a $250 per day for ambulance, up to 4 times per year, with the max of 2,500. And I'm going to fly through the rest except for cancer. There's outpatient therapy and chiropractic services, skilled nursing, lump sum cancer, lump sum confinement if they want to add a lump sum benefit on top of the per day. There's an outpatient surgery and an urgent care rider as well, which I'll let you look at. You could download a simple brochure off of mic.go.medico.com. I'll show you the link at the end. But the two that we see most utilized are the ambulance, because let's face it, if you go in the hospital for an accident or illness, you're probably taking an ambulance. You're probably not taking an Uber or calling your neighbor. You're getting there as fast as possible, which is going to mean the ambulance, which typically comes to copay, and this will help offset some or all of that copay. Now, the lump sum cancer rider pays anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 with the first diagnosis of internal cancer, which is great, because if they don't qualify for a traditional standalone cancer plan, guess what? They can get a hospital indemnity plan at their ages 64 to 67, and they can add the cancer rider with no underwriting. So now they have a cancer benefit on top of their hospitalization should they be diagnosed with cancer or need treatment, whether it be chemotherapy or radiation or surgery or anything else. They now have a bucket of money that they could pull from. Now, just the number one question I get is, so there's no underwriting? No, but there is a 6-month pre-existing clause for everything. And that's pretty much standard boilerplate stuff. I mean, it's pretty much industry standard. Like, I've always said you can't crash your car and the next day call and get it insured for an accident and get it covered. They're going to look back and say, you crashed it yesterday, we're not going to cover that. Same thing with your client's health. We're going to look back 6 months and make sure they weren't diagnosed yesterday and get coverage today to offset that. So we're going to look back 6 months. But, most of the time that's a non-issue. Another great thing about hospital indemnity, it's paid through AEP. Because don't forget, I know AEP is still a little bit away, but it'll be here before we know it. And you'll be slinging Medicare Advantage plans left and right. Hopefully, you'll be adding Medico hospital indemnity plans to that as well, at least giving your clients the option and making them aware that it exists. And we pay normal through AEP, unlike Medicare Advantage Part D, which isn't paid till after the policy is in force, which we all know is January 1st. So it's a great way to buy the Halloween candy, which is ungodly expensive, actually. Buy that turkey for Thanksgiving. Get those Christmas presents or holiday presents, or whatever holiday you observe. We're going to pay normal all throughout AEP when it comes to hospital indemnity, because we're not subject to the CMS rules on that. So what to do next? Fact finds. How comfortable are your clients with a $300 or $200 or even $100 per day copayment when it comes to their hospitalization? And let them know, hey, there are options to offset some or all of one of the largest expenses you'll have on this plan. And again, more people will say no, and that's okay, because now they know it exists. Now, if another agent tries to offer it to them, they know they can come back to you, their original agent, their official insurance agent, if you would, and get that coverage. And they're not blindsided by another agent. And now you have another agent book a business. And again, let them know they exist. And one thing I will say is, if you let them know at the initial appointment about hospital indemnity, that's great. but you have to sprinkle that throughout the relationship you have with that client, because I don't remember what I had for dinner last Tuesday, much less when I bought my auto insurance years ago, what they offered me. Your clients may have the exact same thing. They're going to remember 10% what you tell them the following day. 6 months from now, they'll be lucky, hopefully, to remember your name if you haven't talked to them. So you need to make sure you're sprinkling that offer throughout the relationship. Let them know in your newsletter, say, hey, oh, by the way, don't forget we have hospital benefits. Oh, by the way, we have cancer benefits. Oh, by the way, we offer dental. And any other benefit you offer in your portfolio, you need to make sure they are aware, because their situation will probably change throughout the course of the life of them being your clients. And they need to know that they don't have to call that goofy 800 number that's on their screen, which I will tell you, I was traveling a couple of weeks ago and I'm sitting there having lunch. And sure enough, on every TV in the bar came, hey, are you on Medicare? And there's Joe Namath talking about Medicare, which used to be only an AEP. And now they're airing those commercials all year. So it's no longer just worrying about AEP and your clients leaving you. It is literally from January to December that you need to be in front of your clients in some capacity, whether it be newsletters, social media, seminars, follow-up appointments, whatever it is, because everyone else is. And you need to make sure they know what's available to them through you. Now, as Matt talked about, we do have an incentive for MedSup. We offer MedSup as well. I will say we are a little different in the MedSup market, that we are more competitive in the urban suburban market rather than the rural market. So if you're in Missouri, we're going to be much more competitive in Springfield, Kansas City, St. Louis, Columbia, Missouri, where I reside, as opposed to the more rural markets. And to help with that, we have a $175 per underwritten MedSup app. So every time you submit one with us, as long as you submit 3 qualifying apps, we'll retro back to the first. And from then there on, every app to the end of the year will bonus you $175 for underwritten apps. Your guaranteed issue, which is basically your Missouri anniversary date ones, have an additional $25 bump. And then open enrollment, when they're first getting on to Medicare Part B, is another $25. And if you add a dental plan with it, when I only pay you for the dental plan, we'll give you an additional $25 on top of it. So that 175 turns to 200. So definitely pay attention to that. And while you're writing all this business, you're going to be qualifying for a Medico Invitational Experience happening next year. As of June 1st to the end of this year, every premium dollar you write counts as a point, or 2 points, or 0.25, depending on the circumstance, as you can see on the screen. So as an agent, you get 2 million points, which again, hospital indemnity, dental, and cancer are double right now. And I have heard through the grapevine, we're going to run miscellaneous incentives throughout the year to help bolster those points as well. You have the ability to be invited to a couple different experiences we'll have next year. So even if you didn't know it was happening and you're writing Medico, you're in the running right now. So if you want more information on that, you can go to mick.gomedico.com. Both this flyer and the other flyer are available on there. What are the trips? I don't know yet. They don't tell any of us on the sales team, because they know we will shout out from the rooftops as soon as we know. So I think they're ironing out the final details right now. I'm hoping somewhere exotic, like behind me. Obviously, I say I live in Columbia, Missouri. Nothing in Columbia, Missouri looks like this. The Missouri River, which runs by us, is clear for, I think, the first 3 centimeters, and after that, it's just pure brown. So it's a beautiful skid mark running through Missouri. But point is that we'll hopefully go somewhere much more exotic and enjoyable rather than Columbia, Missouri. So if you have any questions on the product, please throw it in the chat. I believe you have live right now, Matt, or just ask away in some capacity. I'm happy to answer questions about our hospital indemnity or anything else we mentioned. We also have dental, which I won't go into for help restrain the time, so you're not stuck listening to my angelic voice for too long. But we have dental available as well, which has, in Missouri, the gold and platinum plans have day 1 coverage. So any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. I will say, offering hospital indemnity can make your book of business go from sustainable to profitable almost instantaneously. So definitely let your clients know it exists. And again, 64 to 67 guaranteed issue, no health questions is a nice way to just add it on very simply. I will remind everyone that we do only do electronic applications. We don't do paper. We're one of the last industries that do paper apps. And we at Medico have gotten away from that. In fact, we have a new enrollment platform rolling out this year. Our hospital indemnity product is on it already. It's all web based. You could do it from any tablet, any computer, as long as it's connected to the internet. And you can enroll them in a matter of minutes. It's super simple. You know, we like to think we made it idiot proof. So you just follow the tabs, you walk through and go. One of the big questions we get when enrolling is we do ask for a beneficiary on there. You don't have to put one down, but the beneficiary will help your clients. If they go to the hospital and pass away and they have a hospital indemnity plan, we're still going to pay that per day that they were there. And if it's over $1,000 benefit, we're going to pay to the estate of, if there is no beneficiary listed, which can cause some confusion for the beneficiary receiving that check. But if there's a beneficiary listed, we'll make it out to that beneficiary directly. So if you are enrolling somebody with a Medico hospital indemnity plan and you see beneficiary and you're like, what on earth is this about? That's to pay any claims should the client pass away in the hospital. So I would definitely fill that out for a spouse or loved one or however they want to have a beneficiary in there. So that's a biggest question I've seen on the new system. But other than that, it's pretty simple. You could technically do it on your phone, but it's a really, really small screen to have all the information on there. So I at least recommend having some sort of tablet or laptop connected to the internet when doing that. So I got a couple chats in here. Let me take a quick peek. All right. All right. So I will show the map again real quick. Here is the map for our hospital indemnity. Again, dark blue is our new product. That's going to be our one that we just went through. The Ohio, Utah, and Oregon markets, they haven't been approved yet, which I've learned. I came from the insurance agency side, and I'm learning all about DUIs, and they're a funny breed because we went to all the DUIs and said, hey, we have made endorsements, which means improvements to all our plans. Please approve these. And these three states said, nah, we don't want any improvements on these plans, which is kind of like, why would you not want improvements? But alas, here we are. So there are the states, again, Missouri and all the surrounding states. If you're in Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Kansas are all in there. And then for another question about the incentive. Of course, it is 100,000. That is the points count as premium dollars. So if you sell a policy, it's $30 per month. That's going to be $360 per year. That's 360 points. And actually, because it's hospital indemnity, you're going to talk about it's going to be almost 700 points. So it's not, and I agree, it's a little confusing. The points are premium dollars, not actual policies sold. So, a 500, if you sell a med sup and it's, $200 a month, that's 2,400 a year. That's 2,400 points. And again, we're going to run some incentives throughout this year to help bolster those points, but it can be done, especially in a busy AEP when you're talking about hospital indemnity and you're selling 30, 40, maybe 50% of the people buying it. You'd be surprised how quickly those points rack up, especially since they're worth double the points. And your clients are going to be happy because now when they go to the hospital, they're going to get a check. And I will tell you this, that generates referrals. If you're like, how do I get more referrals? This is one way to do is ancillary products, because I have never referred anybody to my auto insurance company because it's auto insurance, right? It's run the mill auto insurance. But when Mabel goes to the hospital and she gets out and she's having Tuesday morning coffee with her friends and she's buying coffee and everyone's like, Mabel, you're the cheapest person on the planet. You hold a penny so tight, you choke Abraham Lincoln. And now you're buying us a round of coffee. What gives? She's like, oh yeah, well, I got my check back for going to the hospital. And all our friends would be like, how did you do that? And she would say, oh yeah, Mike has me on this thing where if I go to the hospital, I get a check to pay my bills. They're like, well, how do we get that? That gets referrals, not her Medicare Advantage plan, because she's not going to talk about how much her copay was. She is going to talk about that check she got in the mail, though. So if you want your clients to be talking about the policies that they're enrolling in through you, make it worth talking about. And we talk about it when there's a benefit to us, i.e., getting that check in the mail. So it's a great way to, to let your clients know, hey, when you get that check, buy around the coffee for your friends and tell them how you got it. And hopefully their friends will be like, ooh, I need to talk to your agent because I didn't know that happened. And we have the same policy. So yeah, make sure you are mentioning that to your clients, or hopefully clients are talking about that. And I give you that example because that's a true story. It's how we got some referrals selling hospital indemnity plans. But if you want more information about this or anything else, Medico, if you're contracted already through Secure Insurance Group, you could go to mic.gomedico.com with your login. You could download brochures. You could look at the contests. You could watch any of our trainings. We do monthly webinars that do a deep dive into all our products. So if you want to do a deep dive in there, if you have questions about it, you can always call us or just call Secure Insurance Group. Phenomenal group of people there. I've been very blessed to meet Matt and his team in person. They are awesome. I met them down in Springfield, and just a good bunch of people. So if you need help, I know they want you to be successful, and they will help you with, other tips of the trade or best practices for these products or any other product you have through them. They are definitely on your side and want to make sure that you're producing. So give them a call as well. But our 800-547-2401 option 3 is agent services. Just so you know, we are domestic. As long as you can handle a Midwest accent, i.e. Des Moines or Omaha, that's where our 2 offices are. That is where our customer service is, not only for agents, but also for your clients. So you may get a conversation about cows. I tease Des Moines all the time because I don't think there's anything in Des Moines but like a skyscraper and a pasture. But of course, that's what people say about Columbia, Missouri. But they are domestic and they are a great team there. You could always contact me as well. I do warn everyone that I'm on the road a lot. Like I said, I was down in Springfield not too long ago. I'm leaving tomorrow for another conference. So I don't want to make this excuse. I'm hard to get a hold of, but it's hard to take a phone call on a plane, and airports aren't exactly the best spot for conversations. But again, I'm happy to answer any questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises. So anything else you might have, please let me know. But again, we're pretty proud of our product. Hopefully you'll see the value in it and start seeing your clients be happy when they get that check in the mail and start telling their friends and family about it. And then all of a sudden you've opened up this door to referrals and additional business opportunities. So any other questions, comments, concerns, threats, promises, throw them in the question area. I'm going to stop talking for a minute, actually, which is a first for me. There we go.
Any questions, guys?
Hey, Dallas,
Right.
I just realized you're on the screen.
Yeah, sorry. We had to bring in the sub to get you started, and I apologize for that, but
Oh, it's okay.
Easy.
bringing in the sub.
Hey, Mike. I've got a couple quick questions for you, buddy.
Sure.
So you mentioned all the riders 64 to 67 are GI, including cancer, right? Cancer is GI then.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what if they've had prior cancer, but they don't currently have cancer?
We're going to look back 6 months and just so you know, this is something your clients don't necessarily have to know, but this is good for the agents to know, is with any under guaranteed issue product, ours, and this is pretty much industry standard, is there's going to be a 6-month pre-existing clause. So we're going to look back 6 months. And most of the time, when there's a claim within the first 2 years, we're going to do a quick record pull to make sure nothing was hidden. 95% of the time, it's a non-issue. I've always joked, insurance companies are here to insure conditions, not cover-ups. So as long as your clients have been straight with you, it's not a big deal. But yeah, we're going to look back 6 months and make sure there's been no previous diagnosis or advised surgery. Excuse me.
And that's across the board with everything 64 to 67, not just cancer. That's across the board with all of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. If you go to the hospital the day after you get this policy in force, it's going to throw up a red flag. And there's, if there was
Right.
an accident or something that came out of the blue and it's legit, great, we're going to pay. We just, there are some nefarious people out there. I know it's a shocker to all of us. There are some people trying to beat the system, and that's what a claims/underwriting department's there to protect us all for, because that does no one any good except raise rates and ruin guaranteed issue periods. So yeah,
Right.
yeah, but it
Awesome.
is, but as long as they're,
Wow.
if they have a clean bill of health and they go to the hospital, especially like for an accident, which of course we don't plan, uh, it's going to be no problem. We're going to pay accordingly, and you and your client will be all set.
Now, how does that work, Mike, if I do have a client that may not have a clean bill of health, but they're 65 or 66 or 60, whatever in that age range? How does that work then? So, like, say they've got, I don't know, say they had a stroke 2 years ago. I'm sure that's not going to pass underwriting. If they go to the hospital, then within the next few months, how's that going to handle, or how will Medico treat that?
So basically, we're gonna look back 2 years, and as long as it's not going to be, as long as it's not, if it was 2 years ago, no problem. In fact, just a side note, if you are in the midst of an underwritten case, our underwriting was cut in half. So a lot of the stuff we look back 2 years for is now only 12 months. So if you had a stroke 2 years ago, it's not going to be an issue. We're going to see it. We're like, okay, that's past the parameter of our underwriting and our concern. We're going to pay the claim normally. Now, if let's say you had a stroke 2 months ago and you're guaranteed issue and you go back to the hospital due to complications from the stroke, we're going to be like, whoa, that's within 6 months. Not cool, man. We can't insure that. But if you had a stroke a year ago and nothing's happened that past year and all of a sudden you have a complication now, guess what? It's past the 6 month window. We're going to pay accordingly. So I always tell everyone there's a 6 month eyeball back to make sure we're not covering anything that you're just waiting to get insured. Other than that, it's pretty easy.
Okay, got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, and there was one that said if they had cancer but no treatment in the past 6 months, then it wouldn't be an issue. Correct. Again, we're looking back 6 months only for any pre-existing cause. So if they were diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago, got treatment, have a clean bill of health, as clean as it can be, and now they get diagnosed again for that same cancer or different cancer, we're going to pay. We're going to pay that $1,000 to $10,000 benefit, whatever benefit amount they chose, and they're going to get a check, and they're going to be, heck yeah, now I can go to Mexico and sit on the beach and have cancer or whatever they want to do. So it's their money; they spend however they want. Or, as I told my clients, if you have a $3,000 max out of pocket and you have a $6,000 or $7,000 benefit coming in, you basically have a paid up policy for 2 years, which is a nice way to go about it. You bank that money, any copay you have, it's coming out of that benefits, and now they get treatment without tapping their savings or worrying about pulling out of Social Security checks, and they can get the treatment they want and not be financially strained. I will say this, one of the things when you talk about cancer benefits, I've learned the hard way is you almost have to spend the money for them, because most people aren't used to getting $10,000 checks in the mail, and it's almost unforeseeable what to do with that. When you start talking about, that $10,000, you basically get a paid up policy for the next couple of years, then it gives value to that benefit. So like, oh yeah, that'd be nice to have a paid up policy as opposed to just a check for $10,000 sitting there, which is sometimes it's hard to fathom for some people. But as soon as you show them what they could do with it, it becomes real, and they're much more likely to say, yes, I do need that. I'm glad you put it that way, because now I know I have protection and the ability to afford treatment without eating cat food, which I wouldn't say that to a client, but you know what I mean.
Awesome. Anybody else have any other questions for Mike? Anybody? Well, Mike, thanks very much, man. We truly appreciate you. Yeah, guys, Mike's a great partner. Like you said, he's helped us out in so many different scenarios. Love Mike, love Medico. They're a great company. Mike's a great rep. So be sure to give them a look. Look at their product. Look at it. I think you'll be happy with what you see. So, Mike, thank you again, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Take care, everyone.
All right. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you.